Hello everyone, my name is UltimoFive and today we're going to be revisiting the Reaper Prime, the Soul Harvester. Reaper Prime is a standalone Prime melee weapon that was released alongside Latron Prime and Frost Prime. In order to obtain the Reaper Prime, one must open a variety of relics that contain the blueprint, handle, and blade in order to make it at the foundry. It requires a mastery rank of 10, comes with no polarity slots other than a dash stance slot, and because of this the builds for this weapon will require 2 to 4 forma. And the weapon excels in large crowd slaughter against all factions in high leveled areas. Advantages for the weapon would be that it has a very high critical chance, a high critical multiplier, a high status chance, a fast attack speed, and it has great range. The element for the Reaper Prime against the Corpus will be Toxin. Toxin deals 50% base damage per second over 6 seconds and stacks indefinitely with each instance having its own timer. The build's flex slot is Gladiator Might, and due to the weapon's high / proc priority, it works well against Corpus enemies with alloy armor. Meanwhile, the Toxin focuses on those with shields to just decimate the faction as a whole with ease. The elements for the Reaper Prime against the Corrupted and Grineer will be Viral or Slash. Viral amplifies health damage by 100% for 6 seconds and stacks up to 10 times for a total of 325%. Meanwhile, Slash's status effect is Bleed, and after 1 second it deals 35% of the base damage per second for 6 seconds, which bypasses armor. The build's flex slots are Prime Smite, Corrupted, or Grineer for both builds, however the Slash build also has an additional flex slot of Gladiator Might. Both builds work very well in the late game, with the Slash build performing better into later levels of the Steel Path due to bypassing armor, and if paired with something like the Kuvan Accord, then it just straight annihilates everything. The elements for the Reaper Prime against the Infested will be Gas or Heat. Gas deals 50% base damage per second for 6 seconds in a 3 meter radius and stacks it to 10 times to a total of 6 meters. The build's flex slots are Prime Smite Infested for both builds, however the Heat build also has an additional flex slot of Gladiator Might. The Heat build in this case was a bit surprising for how well it did against the infested factions as a whole, however I would still use Gas unless a player is okay with just Heat in order to mod in a Riven. On top of this, Heat works better into Deimos rather than Gas would. The elements for the Reaper Prime with a heavy attack build set will follow Toxin for the Corpus, Viral for the Corrupted and Grineer, and Corrosive for the Infested. The flex slot for the Corpus will be Gladiator Might, and the other build's flex slots will be their Smite faction mod. These builds are for those who want to utilize the amazing one-shot capabilities of the Reaper Prime's heavy attack. These builds can be taken anywhere just like the normal faction builds and completely demolish those who stand in your path, however the weapon ends up dealing with smaller crowds of enemies or single targets rather than large crowds. Through the utilization of Arcane Strike, a player can flex out Berserker Fury or the build's attack speed mod for any mod of their choosing. This is due to how the Arcane functions with giving bonus attack speed upon hitting an enemy for an extra flex slot. Fever Strike and Smite mods in place of their Prime counterparts if one doesn't have them. Prime Fury, or Quickening in place of Berserker Fury if one would like flat attack speed increase or want combo count chance. Prime Pressure Point in place of Sacrificial Pressure in the heavy attack build if one doesn't have it, or in place of Condition Overload in the normal faction builds if one would like flat melee damage. True Steel in place of Sacrificial Steel in the heavy attack build if one doesn't have it. Primed Reach in place of the build's flex slot if one would like more range on their weapon. Amalgam Organ Shatter in place of Organ Shatter if you use heavy attacks and are okay with losing 5% critical damage. Carnis Stinger in place of Gladiator Might in the Grineer Slash build if one would like more slash procs and an even higher status chance. And Gladiator Rush or Drifting Contact in place of the build's flex slot if one doesn't have Naramon focus or can't handle the combo chain duration. There are several ways to enhance critical stats and damage for this weapon. For instance, for damage, Rhino's Roar, Valkyrie's Warcry which bolsters attack speed in turn increasing DPS, Nova's Molecular Prime which makes all sources of damage increase by 100% against primed enemies, Mirage's Eclipse mixed with her Hall of Mirrors has a massive damage bonus during the Dare and Light, Saren's Toxic Lash mixed with her Spores abilities, Wisp's Haze Reservoir which bolsters attack speed in turn increasing DPS, Equinox's Rest and Rage and Dayform makes targets more vulnerable to damage, Volt Speed which bolsters attack speed in turn increasing DPS, and Chroma's Vex Armor when health gets damage increases weapon damage. For critical stats, Harl's Covenant cut out to 50% critical chance and 200% on headshot. Frost's passive with his Biting Frost augmentation grants a 200% increase to critical chance and critical damage upon attacking frozen enemies. The Adarza Kavat with Cat's Eye can give a 60% critical chance boost, and the Smita Kavat with Charm can give a 200% crit chance. Arcane Fury, on critical hit, 60% chance for 180% melee damage and melee weapons for 18 seconds. Arcane Blade Charger, on primary weapon kill, 30% chance for 300% melee damage for 12 seconds. And Arcane Strike, on hit, 15% chance for 60% attack speed and melee weapons for 18 seconds. When you get your hands on a Riven for this weapon, the flex slot to replace will be what was previously discussed before. This may require 1 to 2 more Forma, and in order to maximize damage output with the Reaper Prime, one will need to get lucky and get some nice stats. My ideal stats would be melee damage, critical chance, and negative finisher damage. For the heavy attack build set, my ideal stats would be initial combo, critical chance, critical damage, and negative finisher damage. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more guides on Warframe, please click the like and sub buttons to let me know. And as per usual, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.